All right, Jenny says, okay, I'm a female INTP in a relationship with an INTJ. I was reading about the short-term loop about being proven wrong. He usually has better points, and I do find myself shutting down. The other thing is wanting things now when I'm still researching challenges, but he's the only person I've ever found that can stay in the conversation with me. We met discussing philosophy, Marcus Aurelius. Of course you did. That's awesome. And I'm not sure if there's a specific question there, but as an ENCP who has had many INTJ very good friends, the challenge with engaging with an INTJ a lot of times is that they don't do the thing where they'll talk it out even if they're still working it out as much. They'll usually only start discussing it once they feel like they've thought about it for a while. So it's difficult to engage in a sort of an improvisational figuring out concepts conversation with somebody who usually only is comfortable with well-vetted conversation material. Does that make sense? So, I mean, I don't know why I said, does that make sense? Because you can't say anything back, but hopefully that makes sense. So that's why the INTJ has like better arguments. However, the challenge with that for the NTJ is that territory that is not as well covered, NTPs are a lot more willing to jump into that territory and just play with them. So
and be wrong.
And I'm willing to be wrong. I mean, even in INTP, like the challenge isn't in being wrong. The challenge is in having your thoughts invalidated. And that's something that I discovered in my relationship with Joel is that the thing I have to really watch out for is invalidating his emotional experience. And the thing he has to look out for is invalidating my intellectual or cerebral experience. Meaning that if I'm playing around with an idea, he's a natural mismatcher, so he'll go into mismatching. So if I'm sharing sort of like a fragile idea that I'm working on, and then I'm just sort of like, I'm kind of working it out as I'm talking, and he's like, well, what about this? What about this? What about this? And I'll be like, and then I'll feel like he's not showing me any honor for either my process or my thoughts. And I'll feel just as bad about that as a feeler would feel if they shared their emotions with another person and the person started telling them that their feelings were wrong. It's like the same thing. So one of the things you can do in those moments so that you don't go into the I'm right loop is simply say, hey, I'm working out an idea here. And you can even use the word fragile. Like I'm working on an idea and it's fragile, and I don't need you to come at it with a bunch of thoughts you've already worked out in your head because I'm entering new territory. So can you meet me there? Can you meet me as working it out in new territory? And maybe you already have the answer for this and you're brilliant. So maybe that's already happened for you. But right now I'm working it out. So I'm just going to need an ear to hear what's going on. Almost in the same way that a feeler would say, hey, I'm just working out something emotional. I just need you to hold space for me. So just recognize that introverted thinking, like introverted feeling, is being vulnerable when it's being transparent. So to have any feeling of it being dogpiled is very, it's painful, it's hurtful, and it turns into doubling down, right? Because you're trying to fight for your right to have the thought to begin with. So just a little bit of that conversation actually a lot of times helps not to feel like you need to go into the doubling down I'm right loop.
Hey, it's Joel Markwood and Tony Dodge. Thanks for watching that video. You can go get a copy of Personality Hacker in any bookstore online. You can order it from your local bookstore in your town, which is cool because then you can support the local bookstores in your town. But this book is really powerful. It's separate into two sections. The first part is theory of the system of the way we approach Myers-Briggs. We talk about the CAR model. We unpack how to learn about your cognitive functions. And the second half of the book goes into each of the 16 individual personality types.